Thanks for tuning in. Growing up in the Netherlands, I have such fond memories of the second half of November and all of December with the different holidays. But my absolute favorite holiday was Sinterklaas. He would come to the Netherlands somewhere in the middle of November and I would be glued to the TV watching him arrive on his large steamboat. After that point, every night we would put a shoe by the hearth with a carrot in it for his horse, and we would wake up to having some small treats in our shoes, either a small chocolate figurine, a small toy, or a baggie of today's recipe, kruidnootjes. Hi, I'm Twan and welcome to my kitchen. If you're new to this channel, I focus on cooking foods from my home country, the Netherlands, and some of its former colonies such as Indonesia. Sinterklaasavond, December 5th, was a magical night. We would go visit Grandma and Grandpa, and Sinterklaas would have already dropped off our gifts there. Then we would come home, and as if by magic, our entire family room would have been decorated with Sinterklaas decorations. I never knew how it happened, but without fail, our house just looked so festive. There would be a knock on the door, and we would run to the front door and open it, hoping to catch a glimpse of Sinterklaas, and all we would find was a large jute bag filled with gifts. Without fail, at some point, Sinterklaas would strooi, the Dutch word, which really means toss, kruidnootjes into the room, and would be scurrying on the floor picking them all up. Now that I live in the United States, he doesn't toss them into our room anymore, but instead he puts them in a box and mails them to us. To make kruidnootjes, you will need 250 grams of self-rising flour, 125 grams of brown sugar, 125 grams of butter at room temperature, 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk, 2 tablespoons of speculaaskruiden. To make my version of speculaaskruiden, you will need 26 grams of ground cinnamon, 6 grams of ground cloves, 5 grams of ground nutmeg, 1 gram of ground coriander seed, 2 grams of ginger powder, 2 grams of ground cardamom, 2 grams of white pepper, and 2 grams of mace. So now we're just going to combine all the spices in one bowl and mix it very thoroughly. To me, December is not complete without eating kruidnootjes. It really brings me back to those Sinterklaasavonden where as a kid we were just so excited, anticipation of the gifts, and then all the ceremony around it and the traditions that my parents worked so hard, and I always enjoy. Whenever we go back to the Netherlands in December, I always enjoy spending Sinterklaas with the family. All right, now we're just going to mix it all together. So these spices are the same for kruidnootjes as what you would use to make speculaas, which we will make in a later video. I think that one of the reasons why so many kind of cookies and things in the Netherlands have to do with spices like nutmeg is when the VOC in the Dutch Golden Ages, they did a lot of spice trading. It was something that was kind of a sign of luxury if you could afford all these spices. It smells good. Now that the spices are thoroughly mixed, it is ready to be used in the kruidnoten recipe. 1/4 teaspoon of salt and a dash of anise powder. If you're enjoying this video, please click the like and subscribe button. It will really help our channel. If you want YouTube to notify you whenever we post a new video, click the bell. We're going to make the dough now. I'm going to start adding the dry ingredients. The smell of these spices together is so good. And I'm just going to mix this through first. Adding the brown sugar. Try to get out all the clumps. Is that a technical term? Clumps? And now we're going to add the butter. And I'm going to start kneading it together by hand. It won't all come together when you're doing this. Once we have this mixed thoroughly, we're going to slowly add a little bit of milk until we can form this into a ball of dough. Of Of course, make sure your hands are impeccably clean when you do this. I washed them right before we started doing this. This is definitely too dry. I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of milk and start kneading it together again. Don't add everything at once. It really depends on the humidity, the temperature, everything. So just add a little bit at a time, and you only have to add enough until this comes together in a ball. And we're not quite there yet, but we're almost there. So I'm going to add 1 more tablespoon. It's still falling apart a little bit too easy, so I'm going to just add the smallest amount of milk. That was less than half a tablespoon of milk that I just added, so we're at just a little over 2 tablespoons right now. The dough has come together nicely, so now I'm going to put it in a zip-top baggie in the fridge for at least 30 minutes. I typically leave it for about an hour. The dough has rested in the fridge. The oven is preheated at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, 180 degrees Celsius. And now we start the fun task of making kruidnootjes. For that, I am using about 1/4 teaspoon of dough, rolling it in a little ball, and then placing it here and just flattening it a little bit. And we're going to keep doing that. Yeah, you don't want to put them too close together because they will spread a little bit. So what I like to do is put them on a line, and then the next row go in the gaps in between. Almost done with this cookie sheet. I'm going to store whatever dough I have left in the fridge, and maybe I will roll it out and turn it into speculaas cookies, which of course is very similar to this. If you're gonna make this recipe, I recommend you make like a double or triple batch of the speculaas kruiden, because they make for a great gift around the holidays. A few years ago, I gave all my co-workers a little jar of my homemade speculaas kruiden mix with a handwritten recipe for making speculaas, and we got a lot of positive responses from people who had never made or baked speculaas themselves and tried it and loved it. So I can highly recommend it. It's a great little gift to give away. And close this baggie up, put it back in the fridge. I'm gonna put these in the oven. They will bake for somewhere between 15 and 20 minutes, but I will check it around 12 just to make sure, because our oven does have a couple of hot spots. The kruidnootjes have been in the oven for a little over 20 minutes, and I think they're done. So let's take them out. So these cookies have to set because they're crunchy when you eat them, so we have to let them cool completely before we try them. The kruidnootjes have cooled off, and I've put a few on my plate to taste. They've gotten a little larger than normal, and I think the lights in the kitchen have made it warmer, so the butter got a little softer when I was rolling them. I probably should have popped the cookie sheet in the fridge a little bit before putting it in the oven. Since I'm assuming at home you don't have video lights pointing at your work surface, you shouldn't have this problem at all. All right, let's first smell one. It smells so good. Of course, the very first thing that you smell are those spices, that spice mixture. But there is just a little bit of butter in that smell as well. You can tell that these will be rich. All right, let's try one. Eet smakelijk. So good. This puts me in Sinterklaas mood, or in the holiday spirit, to be honest. And they are perfect. You can taste the butter. You have that characteristic speculaas flavor in there with all those different spices. They are just absolutely delicious. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please click the like and subscribe button, and don't forget to share it with your friends. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I will post a written recipe on my website, twanskitchen.com, and you can follow me on social media as well. If you make kruidnootjes, please Take a photo and post it on Instagram with the hashtag TwansKitchen, and I will feature it on my story as well as on our website. Thanks, and I'll see you in the next one.